Welcome to From the Ashes, the Dungeon Crawler Network podcast all about Ashes of Creation by Intrepid Studios. Bear witness to the rebirth of the MMORPG genre from the ashes of an industry that has left the gamers behind. I am Aggelos, the founder of the Dungeon Crawler Network, and we are coming to you live once again from the Mighty Beard Tavern. And I am joined by my amazing co-host, Stormslord. How are you? Muted or something. I don't know. He's gone.
Yeah, he can't hear us.
Game over, Starlord. Game over.
Alpha Soul.
I'm doing great.
Great. And Crowjack.
I'm doing better than Stormslord right now.
Apparently. Someone should message him and let him know.
He knows.
He knows. All right,
knows.
good. Because I'm not looking at the chat. And of course, hello chat room, all you amazing people who are joining us live over at twitch.tv/Dungeon Crawler Network. You guys are amazing. We've got a fun show planned for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a little bit of news that was a little bit leaked on the Discord. Some fun things to talk about. Yeah, theorize about.
Yep.
I do have a question that I kind of want to pose to all of the cast and see what kind of theories we can throw out. And of course, we are going to be jumping into, well, as I told all my co-hosts here this afternoon as I was working on the show notes, the topic was meant to just be a one-episode thing. But as I started developing the show notes, I think we're on like 7 pages of notes at this point. So it's probably going to span across multiple episodes. So we're going to be analyzing every little bit that we know about progression for your character within Ashes of Creation. It's going to be a fun show, so stay tuned for that. But before we do, we got to give a shout out to our amazing patrons and Twitch supporters who support us each and every month. You guys are amazing. You help keep the metaphorical torches lit, so we can continue to provide you with weekly shows that hopefully you're enjoying and that keep you entertained as we wait for Ashes of Creation. All right, guys, let's just go ahead and jump right on into the news first and foremost. I'm going to go ahead and post something here in the, well, I guess I should put it on the screen for everyone to actually see. It's under logos, I think. No, it's not under logos. Screen images. There it is. All right. So, as you can see on the screen, the BaconGate, as we're going to be calling it right now, he came out on the official Discord on the 24th, saying that you got some questions about where they were in terms of progression as developers. And they were saying that they're being good right now, and they're starting to ramp down from A1 and are starting to move on to the next thing, working on some big cities and building out all of the node systems for the actual MMORPG. And finally, we're kind of hitting, 3 fronts at the moment: bug fixing and optimization, castle sieges, and into node development. That's pretty exciting to hear. That's really exciting to hear, guys. Kind of shifting away from the Battle Royale and starting to work on the part that we're most excited about, the MMO. Anyone? Just throw it in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I kind of figured that this would be the case when we, hadn't heard anything for a while, and then, obviously it's kind of keeping up with their timeline that they originally stated, and that's Castle Siege in December, right? So, it's looking like that's on target, and we'll potentially have that to play with come Christmas time.
I also like seeing that the developers are further confirming and dousing the fears that the Battle Royale is not going to take over for everything else. The Battle Royale is pretty much done. They've designed it. They've built it. They've done this thing. They're not going to really iterate on it much further, and they're shifting their focus to Castle Siege, getting that out, and further to the node system of the MMORPG, where the majority of their focus should be. And that's very encouraging that someone like Bacon is coming to the community and telling us that and kind of dousing our fears a little bit on that regard.
Right. Definitely. I know the Battle Royale has not been popular among the MMORPG crowd. It hasn't been.
No.
Crowjack, I know you stream a lot. We often talk about Ashes of Creation when we're in your streams. What has been the actual, from your perspective, the thought about Battle Royale and from your community?
Really, really, really simple. Battle Royales are so hot right now. And because they're so hot right now, you have a massive amount of people that love them. And whenever you have something so popular, you're going to have haters to confront it. As evil rises, so shall good, and vice versa, as they say in Star Wars. Anyways, so because of that, and because MMO people just don't like battle royales, you're getting a lot of flack, getting a lot of hatred for it. I wish more MMO people might be a bit more open-minded. Give it a shot. At least taste it before you judge it, at the very least. That's what I think. I think people need to at least try it. Give it 3, 4, 5 matches before you judge it too harshly. That's what I would love to see happen.
Right.
Might be a lot to ask.
It might be. And Krojak, I think we're getting a little bit of a plosion from your mic every once in a while, so maybe turn the gain down just a scooch. Just a scooch. Storms, what about you? I think he's still dead in the water.
I think Storm's still dead in the water.
Yeah.
Audio issues all across the board.
You know, the funny part is people ask, like, we did a pre-show. That's why we were a few minutes late starting.
Yep.
And we did audio test and everything worked. And then we start and now everything is broken, at least for Storms. So I'm not sure what's going on there. So we're just going to move right on ahead. We're going to go ahead and ask the next question that I had while we wait for Storms to fix some of his issues. We know that there's going to be big news, and I've seen people already in chat already throw the floodgate term out there already, that the floodgate's going to be opening.
Yeah.
And
yes,
I know a lot of the common theories right now is that we're going to start getting a release date for, I would say, Apocalypse, like an actual release date. As these are my theories, at least. Hey, Storms, I think we can hear you now.
we can hear Storm's lore, but I do not believe he can hear us.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. So we have the release date. Then we also have the new website coming, which they need to get working in order for us to have the cosmetic rewards from testing and Apocalypse. And finally, a new community manager.
Yeah.
Right. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I was trying to find some names. I was doing a little bit of searching, but whoever if they found somebody, they didn't update a LinkedIn profile yet. So that's kind of upsetting. But with the recent collapse of and I'm hearing someone's background noise again. I'm not sure who that would be. Storms or not Storms, Alpha. All right. Man, this is like the official live stream right now with audio issues. I swear
all three of us now have messed something up. All three of us. You're the only perfect one, Aggelos. So
far. I'm feeling good. But now you put all the pressure on me because I'm going to mess something up later.
Absolutely.
Darn it. Anyway, I'm honestly thinking if I'm going to take a guess, I'm going to throw this out here, and I want to know what you guys think about this. Telltale Games folded, and folded hard. I'm thinking they grabbed the community manager from Telltale. That's my prediction.
Oh, you think so?
I really do. I really think they grabbed from I can't speak.
Telltale Games?
Yes, thank you.
That company?
Telltale Games.
Okay, so that's where you're putting your money. What happens if you're wrong? Can we turn this into a bet of sorts?
We could turn it into a bet of sorts. What kind of bet are we looking for? See, no, and I see. Oh, someone left the chat, so now our
Storm's
cameras
already trying to fix the computer. It's all good.
Well, we're just gonna turn off the cameras real quick while that gets back on. I don't want to have that working as we go. I see Tryon being announced.
Yeah.
I highly doubt Tryon is going to be it because, well, I don't think Tryon Worlds and Intrepid Studios get along very well.
Yeah, no. Nope, not at all.
Yeah. So,
I would love, hopefully you find someone with some experience in the business, in the field. We've already seen it's a community manager position, right? So you've already seen some backlash regarding the Battle Royale. You've seen the Discord server be a very interesting place from time to time. You've seen the forums and the Reddit servers be very interesting places from time to time. So hopefully they do hire somebody with some experience that can help to navigate the waters of a very ambitious MMO that's trying to incorporate elements of Battle Royale, etc.
So What I would like to know, and it's a question, what is the role of the community manager in this? I'm not used to the role at all. So if one of you guys can explain that.
The community manager's main goal, despite what most people would think about, is actually more dealing with the distribution of news, dealing with getting timely updates out to the community, not so much dealing with the run-of-the-mill banning people like most people assume. That's actually...
So it's more like PR.
A little bit, yeah. A little PR.
Yeah.
They would handle all... I mean, obviously, you'd have your own PR side of this because you'd want your lawyers and whatnot to be there and to... I think...
Yeah.
Hey, we got Storm sort of back. Well, we'll have it up for now. They do a little bit. They'd get their PR statements from the lawyers, and then they would distribute that to the community. They're also there to build up community, to continue to grow the community through community building events like contests and...
So would the content creator program fall under the purview of a community manager?
I would assume so.
I would assume so. I would assume that we would fall within that. So do you elevate someone like Belle to that position if she is qualified? Or do you have her working beneath the new community manager, being in charge of the content creators and communicating with the content creators? I wonder how that's going to work.
See...
Wonder.
From a personal side...
She'll be beneath. I imagine she'll help communicate.
Yeah. I know she isn't going to do the CM spot. Yeah, she likes her real life job, stuff like that. She wouldn't go for the CM spot. I don't know if a real community manager would take over the official content creator program. It would make sense to me. It would probably relieve some stress from Belle, but I don't know. I think she likes to do it, so I don't know what the relationship between Steve and not. But generally speaking, yes, it would be the community manager who would be dealing with that. I deal with a lot of community managers from the ESO team, Gina and Jess. They're fantastic. They're the ones who coordinate whenever I need to interview somebody over at Bethesda. They coordinate with them. I'm not reaching out and doing that. They handle the community request. They set up the streaming stuff. And as Skiller Slate, I guess, however you pronounce it, said, they would be doing what Steven's doing right now with news and live streaming. And then
yes, it is definitely interesting to have the CEO talking directly with everybody and providing the news for everybody. Absolutely. So yeah, the CM would be doing that instead. And we would hear less from Steven, which kind of sucks. I do like talking to Steven. He's very fun.
Yes. No, I agree. I like talking with Steven as well. He's a very exciting person to be talking about. He's very excited about the game that he is producing, and he wants to be involved in the entire process.
And that's one thing personable.
Yeah,
he's very personable. It's one thing I talked about. One of my pieces of content, why I fell in love with this company, this game, was his passion and enthusiasm resonated so strongly with my enthusiasm and passion as a person. So I would miss having that to rely on and to listen to and to feel encouraged from if a CM instead took all the communication and focused on just the CM's communication. I would still love to hear from Steven from time to time.
Yeah, no, I don't think even with a CM being added that Steven is going to step back.
He won't just be like, "Yep, hands off, we're good."
I don't think he's physically capable.
He loves it too much.
He's not.
This is his baby.
Yeah.
This is his baby. He loves this.
He wants to talk about it. That's his, that's his obsession. That should be.
Right. I see CEOs don't normally do what Steven's doing. That's why I'm interested in Ashes.
Absolutely. That transparency, that communication, it's fantastic.
Right. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right on into our discussion topic. We are going to be discussing over the next several weeks.
Depending on news.
Well, if news does happen, we're going to be doing news, and then we'll just pick up where we left off. But yeah, this is still going to be something we're going to be talking about over the next couple weeks. Because as I was working on the notes and just physically writing down, I'm sitting in my office. I'm like, we want to talk about progression systems for our characters. Like, how do our characters progress? Originally, the idea started out fairly simple, you know. We're just going to hit on how we want our characters to level up. And then I started writing down all the stuff that we had confirmed. And I started looking through the ashesofcreation.wiki and start digging through some of the known quotes that Steven's had and some of the stuff that we've had from our past interviews. And then my list started getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So, yeah, it's not all going to happen within one thing. So this week's topic is going to be mostly on the physical leveling process, the 1 through 50, which has been confirmed is going to be the cap. Traditional leveling systems. Let's just start there. I know one of the key points that we've seen during interviews, I think this was actually during one of the Kickstarter, if I remember my notes correctly, one of the Kickstarter interviews right at the beginning, he was talking about that he doesn't want a very traditional leveling schema. He wants an untraditional leveling path for people, non-linear, being able to gain experience from a myriad of different places, not just the quest hub to quest hub to quest hub, and go from 1 to 50. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? Let's start with the leveling side. Is leveling your preferred method of character advancement? Let's start with Crojack.
My preferred leveling path is crushing my enemies repeatedly over and over and over again until they cry for mercy. So in that regard, I love player versus player combat. And if they could have a way to level up at an equivalent or relatively equivalent speed to questing in just PvP, I would be the happiest man on the planet. However, the competitiveness in me and a good chunk of MMO gamers will be, regardless of my preference, we're going to choose whatever is the most efficient way to level up to level cap. That's a good chunk of MMO gamers will do so. I'm hoping PvP is at least competitive enough. However, because of the flagging system, because of how the world is designed, I don't think there's going to be enough PvP to go around to level up to 50 in a relatively efficient manner.
Not without the use of instance battlegrounds that you could queue for,
which doesn't exist. So,
I think they actually did confirm that battlegrounds do exist.
You just got me hype over 10,000 now.
I'm serious.
No, I think they did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they confirmed that it does exist. So
yeah, because that was something that they were. Because we use the term battleground, and whenever I use the term battleground, and I'm sure you use the term battleground, you hear like World of Warcraft battleground, the instanced battleground. Yeah, that's not. That's not the way they use battleground. They use it more. Mm-hmm. I know how they're using it. They're using it just like the zone of war.
A location in the world with which battle occurs.
Yeah, like the zones of war in Arcade. Remember when a zone would go to war? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So, but they did say arenas are instance PvP scenarios, and they are not part of the open world. So they do plan on having arenas. I'm trying to find the exact quote because I did look at it. Ashes of Creation designed, let's see, party size is 8. Yeah, I had that written down. Arenas will have 1-man, 3-man, 5-man, and possibly 20-man free-for-all deathmatch group sizes. And, so
here's the question. Will that be a possible leveling path? I hope so. If not, that's okay. I can level up the old-fashioned way, but I would love to be able to do that at least relatively the same speed, because that'd be perfect.
Right. Because they are working on a ladder system. So there is going to be a ladder type system for the people who are interested in just arena type instance PvP titles and all those other little fun stuff and arena points and whatnot. And I know they mentioned that in the, which one was that? An interview that they had roughly in August, is what I'm seeing here on my notes. So yeah, there are going to be arenas. ESO specifically does allow you to level in an arena because you actually get a lot of experience for winning.
You get a lot of AP.
You basically need to find a way to go per hour spent. How much experience should the average gamer get in leveling in PvP, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's the other thing they noted. They're aiming for the time to level. The TTL, or time to live, if you're really into networking, is to be 45 days to achieve that. They're going to have to be working.
Are we talking 360 hours?
Yeah, so that's the question that I had with it. Yeah, does that 45 days, what does that count? Is that 8 hours a day leveling? Is that 4 hours a day leveling? What is that?
We don't have a confirmation of what that is. Is that, like you said, is that an average gamer sitting down for 3 hours a day for 45 days hitting it? Is that 8 hours a day, 45 days? We don't have an answer to that yet.
To give you a frame of reference, to get from 1 to 50 in ESO for my third character, using the way I knew how to do it, I got it done in 29 hours.
Not bad.
As a reference, right? So I don't know if that's what they're talking that much more, or how do you want to do it?
All right.
That's a great question.
Let's stick on this for a little bit. I'm of the notion that it should be 45 days. Literally 45 days played.
times 24 hours.
Yeah, 45 days played. I'm probably on the far side.
You probably are.
Well, so
1,080 hours?
No, if it were 24 hours and
45
days.
times 24. 1,080 hours.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah.
So,
1,000 hours to hit level cap.
There you go.
Yep.
That's extreme. That's crazy.
Is it really? Do you really think that's extreme?
It all depends, right?
Depends. How much endgame content can be enjoyed, or what people would consider endgame content, how much of that can be enjoyed during the leveling process?
Or is it the journey as opposed to the end game, right?
Right.
Take, for instance, I'm doing woodworking, and I started doing that a couple of years ago. I hadn't done it before. The journey of learning how to do that, learning how to turn, learning how to do furniture, that in its own is itself, I don't need to get to an end game. It's just doing it, that's part of it. So is that the way they're leaning?
Absolutely. Even this content creation, I never want to hit 1 million subs. Because when I do, I'll get super depressed. I love chasing goals. I hate reaching goals. So I understand exactly what you're talking about in that regard.
I think a lot of it also comes down to the power gap between a 50 and a leveling person. Because think about it. If you are having to go 1,000 hours and are getting crushed by someone who's max level, those 1,000 hours is going to be excruciating.
Right. So once you hit level cap, how much more progression of power level is there past level cap? If there's a fair amount, if you can put in even more, another 1,000 hours, and make your level 50 character go from a power level of 100 to a power level of 200 to 300, you're right. Those are going to absolutely destroy anything sub 50. So it really depends on their philosophy. And I'd love to have more specific answers on their philosophy regarding leveling, endgame, and all those kinds of things.
That yet.
If they know that
people
yet.
They're talking 45 days. They're a long ways away from anybody getting to it.
So with that around, I do have some faith because, obviously Steven's from ArcAge, right? And ArcAge, they have that similar problem already, or not even already, but it's there now. If you go into the game brand new, fresh, they've estimated that to become competitive, you'll have to spend about 2 years in game in order to become competitive. That's just to get to the lane. And that's playing, I think it was like 8 hours a day. He calculated out what it actually would take. And that's where you're at right now.
Is unreasonable. That's beyond unreasonable to expect anyone to want to put in that much time to get to a point where you're able to compete. To compete, not dominate, just compete. That feels very unreasonable.
And see, I'm seeing some people in chat talk about grindy. That's not Eastern. If the journey to 50 is not sitting spamming mobs for 12 hours a day.
Yeah, you're not doing circles in a circle of mobs for,
The time to level does not necessarily make it an Eastern title. Older games used to take that long. When you played Dark Age of Camelot, 360 hours, that might have been a little high, but not by much to hit 50 in DOAC. In fact, it was such an accomplishment to hit max level that there was a ritual where you would strip your character naked and run through Eamon Maka, which was one of the bigger PvP zones. And it was it was such a tradition and such a milestone for having hit that point. No one would attack you. Like, you'd be running across an enemy Zerg, they'd just stop and salute you because they realized that naked run was your rite of passage.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was, you did it, good job. Like, you would see it was so funny when I first did it, I ran naked through Eamon Maka, and a Midgardian Zerg was coming at us, it was probably about 50 players. They all stopped, saluted, and started dancing around my character and followed me the entire way through. Didn't attack me once. They just followed me as I made my way through the zone because it was such a milestone.
This is going to come down to how Intrepid decides their design philosophy. And does the game begin at level cap? Is it World of Warcraft where the game begins at level cap and the rating and the game starts there and everything before that's the tutorial? Or is the game designed in a way where the leveling experience is a huge chunk of the experience and end game is much smaller? That's going to be depending on their design philosophy. And I'm not sure if we have that answer yet.
I believe we've actually interviewed Steven already on this, and his idea that raids exist at max level, he doesn't like that. He wants raids to happen at 20, 30.
They have mentioned that node progression unlocks dungeons and raids, and the mobs around nodes are dependent in strength. One, how far you go from the roads, and two, what level the node is. So the higher the level the node, the higher the level the mobs. So if medium to low level nodes unlock dungeons and or raids, I guess they'd be medium or low level dungeons or raids.
Yeah. And the idea of the untraditional leveling path breaks away from the Eastern philosophy. Especially, like you said, if you're doing random stuff to, I don't know, which we'll get into later because that was one more thing, node progression. If you're focusing on node progression, maybe you're doing things that you wouldn't necessarily do to level your character, but is more helpful for the node you are part of as you're building up your citizen status, for instance, which again we'll talk about later because this topic is a huge topic. But those type of tasks, which may not be the min-max efficient way of leveling, you're doing to work on horizontal progression while you're leveling, because there are one more thing to be added to the list.
I can't wait to talk about that. That's gonna be so
social systems and stuff like that. So
vertical versus horizontal progression. I love it.
Well, that's part of like even a later one, which we don't want to get into heavily because it is a topic for later. But the social systems, the Merchants Guild, the Scholars Guild, and the Thieves Guild, the ones they got from the Kickstarter, those you start unlocking when you are in those. You're working with those guilds, and they offer augments and skills to add to your repertoire of your character. So you're getting a horizontal growth while you're level 20. So at that point in time, you're not necessarily dealing with I'm going out here and grinding Fanglers for the next 8 hours to try to hit level 30. It's I'm doing something within the Thieves Guild. I'm working within the Merchants Guild, trying to expand those aspects of my character and kind of as a tertiary type thing, gaining experience that's increasing your level.
Gaining experience in crafting, gaining it through PvP, gaining it through questing, gaining it through grinding. You can't just... Let's not forget, there are people who love to crank the tunes, turn off the brain, and grind for a bit. There are people who do enjoy that, so don't take that from them completely. But don't make it, like, necessary.
Life is not a linear progression. Life is that laid out, grindy at times, not at other times. The way the world works.
Yeah. I do think he has said already in the past that things like that, doing the Thieves Guild and doing other, things like that are ways to level, right? So, if you choose to grind, that's an option. You can go ahead and do that, but at the same time, you can also go do something that will advance your character horizontally and, allow you to level. I'm
going to piggyback off what Alpha said, but I really want to quote what Nautilus said in chat, one of our guildies, awesome guy. Best way to think of Ashes of Creation with how Steven talks. This game is immersion. You will get story on top of gameplay, which I already know Crojack doesn't like, but I'll get to that later. Hey, I've been on your streams. You talked about Sea of Thieves going, my favorite game is where there's no story, and I could just... Anyway, I remember that quote, sir. I will find the clip.
You pay way too much attention. Are you, like, writing down notes of what I'm saying to get me later?
Maybe.
Oh, God.
If you see any clips made by me... You may want to delete them because I'm using them for evidence. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
You are your character, and you will be building yourself up through this adventure. The reason why I love that quote, and it ties into what Alpha was saying, is, yeah, if you want to grind, great. Think of it like BDO. Here's something that was fun. I grinded through BDO. A friend of mine's like, you know what? If you want to play BDO, because we jumped into it just to try to get a feel for some of the systems that Eastern games have that Western games don't. All right, like caravans and stuff like that. And Calstad talked about role play. I'm not talking about role. If you like to role play, that's great. But I'm not talking about that. We're gonna talk about it from a gamer perspective more than.
I wonder if they're gonna give us a horizontal progression to unlock role play options like emotes and stuff. Just
That would
random thought.
be interesting.
Just random thought.
Yeah.
Just put that in there.
But even adding that, all right, BDO story. We had a couple of us. Alpha Soul was there, myself was there, a few of our other guildies were there. It was like 5 or 6 of us, not a lot. But we were like, let's just hop in because we've never played it before. And one of our friends who had been playing it for years, like, do you want to go the slow way or do you want me just to power level you? Like, he made a character, put on max gear, and just rolled. We just kind of rolled all the way up to Awakening. I will tell you what, after I hit Awakening, that was cool. I got my secondary weapon. Hey, happy day. But then I had to backtrack and go through all the other stuff to unlock all the parts of the game that were still out there. The node system that they had, the caravan system, building your empire of workers was something that the straight grind didn't have. So if you are a
Power
player,
leveling always has its faults.
It
Always.
does.
Power leveling in any game always has its faults.
same thing in ESO. You can go grind to 50 really quick by going and doing Skyreach over and over again. But guess what? You're not going to have many skill points. You're going to have to go back and do the quest lines that offer skill points just so you have enough to fill out your character. And that's what I'm thinking we're going to start seeing is even if you have the people who are leveling quickly or try to find the first to 50, they're really going to short-change themselves when it comes to the side leveling, the horizontal progression.
Well, even the straight level progression, they're not going to understand their character, the way it works, the way it should work, because they haven't had time to figure all that out. The rotations, the whatever you need to do to move forward, they're not going to get that.
And I see Killer Slate in chats like shutting your brain off and grinding for a couple hours is not always bad. We're not saying it's a bad thing. I agree.
But don't make it necessary. In vanilla World of Warcraft, there were gaps in quests to the point where you were forced to grind for a level or two before you can get to the next zone to access more quests. That's bad design, for example.
Eastern MMOs build that design in just naturally with, you have to now grind from... there's not enough quests to get you up to a certain level, and it's just grinding to get there. Some
And
people
not
enjoy
even just
that.
quests. Other options like crafting or PvP. There's just nothing else. Options are good.
Yeah, a lot of games don't even let you level through PvP. It turns it off. If you do PvP, you get nothing. So that's a problem, you know? But... like one of the, and I see exploration in game, one of the funny ways to level within ESO was actually to craft exploration gear, training gear. Exploration gear, it gives you a trait. It was worthless in combat, but it increased the amount of experience you got for unlocking parts of your map. So you put on a full set of exploration gear and just run around exploring the map. And as your map opened, a normal person would get like 1,000 experience. You'd get like 30,000. Again, you would then suffer the same problem that other people did. I now don't have any skill points, but it was a way to level.
Basically, Intrepid, please do not make the most efficient way to level something like grinding or something like the quest or the exploration experience. Make it some combination of crafting, player versus player, questing, etc. Because there will be people who will do nothing but grind if that's the fastest way.
I'm going to throw this out here. I really want to hear everyone's opinion. I kind of want to look at your faces when I say this, because that's where I'm going to get the most, like, right off the bat. So stare at the camera for me as I prep this. As you know, everyone who, like you said, they find something they like to do. Crowjack likes doing, let's say Battlegrounds give experience.
Yep.
That's how Crowjack wants to level. Alpha Soul, he likes to craft. So he's sitting there max crafting. And this is what I'm thinking. Final Fantasy XIV allowed you to level by crafting. You could literally hit max level just by crafting if you had enough mats. Yeah. ESO allows you to level through battlegrounds. And Storms, he likes to do dungeons. So he just spams dungeon after dungeon after dungeon. What if there were diminishing returns on experience after so many attempts of doing something?
Don't take our fun away from us. If we love something, don't punish us for loving it.
That's also anti-intuitive. I guess unintuitive would be a better word. Because you expect to get better at what you do, not get worse as you get better.
Yeah, the more time you spend perfecting something, you don't get less experience at the
You get worse at it.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
no.
think I'm mad at that.
We talked about
You can do
bodybuilding.
it.
We talked about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
This is a good example. Yeah, the first couple times you really start seeing gains, right? Like your first couple months. Eventually you start to plateau, though. And you stop getting the same amount of results.
I'm not sure if learning has the same diminishing returns as bodybuilding. If you keep feeding me
You tell
new
that to my
information
college
to
grades.
learn, I don't think I learn slower. You know what I mean? If I keep doing bench press of 100 pounds, sure, I'm going to stop seeing gains eventually. But if you keep feeding me new information, I don't think it's the same.
Well, I think it's going to get a slower coming in. It's going to get deeper, right? Because as you get farther up the chain of learning, you're going to get to more complex items. You're going to have to take longer to peel them apart.
Yeah, that portion makes sense. Let me ask you this: Why? Why would you do something like that, Aggelos?
Because it's just ag.
No, well, yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate now. I'm of the same opinion that, I don't like being told that I have to do.
Don't take our fun.
Yeah, I like PvP. I'm not as big of PvPer as some people. Like, I know Crojack, he likes PvP all the time. I like it about 40% of the time. But if you tell me the only way for me to level is to PvP, I'm going to get angry. I'm playing devil's advocate and throwing this out here. The reason behind what I'm thinking is if you start plateauing out experience gains, it then allows the player to go out and broaden their character through horizontal.
Teacher, I have a rebuttal.
All right.
Instead of punishing, you said the diminishing returns, that's punishing. Let's encourage. How about rested experience? That increases if you don't do that activity.
Arrested experience per activity, not just per character.
In little categories of rested experience per section of leveling. And you do that for a bit, and your rested experience diminishes and goes away, and then maybe you switch to crafting because you got some rested experience over there. How about encouraging? How about the carrot and not the stick?
I like
But
that idea
there
for
are
something.
some like ags. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alpha.
I was going to say, I like that idea for something that you may want to encourage the server or people to do as a whole, as opposed to just like everything, like willy-nilly.
Look at
Again-
skills in ESL. They do exactly what Ag is saying. You get to a point where you're learning, you're leveling, you're progressing. They go to you morph them, they progress some more, and then you're at a top and you're done. No matter how many more times you throw that lightning, you're not going to get any more that better at that particular one. You then change and go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So we do that, but not for level progression. We do that within skill progression.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't. We keep it normal, and you don't punish us, Aggelos.
This is why they don't make me a moderator on the thing. I'm all about the stick. I'll go Old Testament at this point. That's where I'm at. All right. No, but that's the thought I'm thinking of. I agree with Alpha Soul to a certain extent. I like the idea when they incentivize. Other games have incentivized people leveling characters like, again, going back to Dark Age of Camelot, there were 3 different factions. The lower factions, the ones who didn't have as many players on a server, to encourage people to play there, they got leveling bonuses. They started, hey, if you roll a Midgard on this server that only has like 3 people, guess what? You're going to level in like a week, And it encourages people to kind of jump in there and do that. So I do agree that gamers like to be rewarded.
Incentivize.
Incentivized.
Absolutely.
But why is the game always have to be about a reward? Where's the pleasure of actually just playing the game?
Because
They're used to it. When they
That's
started,
not a
the
good
pleasure was the
excuse.
game.
Because
Sure
not
it
every.
is.
Yeah. I would say because not everyone plays the game the same way naturally,
Yep.
right? You brought it up earlier. We all like different things. We all like to level. I mean, Projack likes PvP. You might like exploring. I might like doing something else. I may not even look at exploring or PvPing unless I'm given an incentive to do so, right?
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm not saying take away the incentive. I say lower it. So if Kojak really likes to play, why am I taking away the joy of his playing by saying, all right, you've done a lot of PvP. We're going to kind of curb your experience gain to make sure that you are not rocketing and power leveling just by doing one activity.
So you're using this as a means of avoiding someone power leveling to 50 through the most
Yes.
efficient means possible.
Yes.
See, but I see what they're going to do is they're going to incentivize people to change because they want something else to happen. Think at the 3 contests in ESL right now, right? They wanted people to do one thing and then another and then another. That's where incentive goes. Incentive is going to get you to do something more than the thing you really want to do. Dungeons are not my favorite, but right now we get boxes of something if I do a dungeon. So I'm not in PvP for a little bit. I'm doing a dungeon. And they want that to happen. I'm shifting my focus because I want to see it's in that mystery box.
You don't want to punish the whole gaming population to stop an extremely small segment of the population. We're talking sub 1% from power leveling to 50 as fast and efficient as possible. You don't want to punish everybody just to stop sub 1% of people.
No, I will.
Sub 0.5%.
That's true. That's true. I will say this though. Stephen has actually answered this question already, and that was basically if there is a method such as power leveling that is way stronger or way better than the other ones, they will nerf it. They will bring it back down
and they
in
will
line with the
hopefully
others.
find that in the Alpha 2, especially when Alpha 2 comes, you have the full game. They're going to find that because we're going to, I'm going to look for the fastest way to level. I don't know about you guys because I'm efficient. I love it. I'll try and find the fastest way to level. And they'll see that. They'll look at their data and go, holy crap, people doing dungeon grinding are way ahead of the curve. They'll see that in their numbers.
They're going to have those analytics telling them exactly what everybody's doing all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mentor program and level scaling. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
This one.
All right.
Yeah.
This, I found a quote from Steven. This was on an interview that they did during Gamescom back on August of this year. This is quote, and I say as I say, and quote, there will be activities that are present for higher level players to mentor lower level players. Let's say you have a friend who joins later on and you still want to do things with them. There will be things to do. Will he be able to enter a dungeon of your level and participate? No, because we don't want to inflate or deflate characters and manipulate that type of skill or power. We want that to be something that makes sense for them from a progression standpoint. Okay, so
low-level character cannot be boosted to a high-level raid by a high-level character. That's
correct.
what Steven's saying. However, they want the high-level character to somehow play with a low-level friend. How? And in what activities? The word activities is so vague.
They're going to have other quests, other things for them to do. The problem is, are they going to have enough to keep them together, or is the more powerful person, I don't want to do this, the lower person, I don't want to do this. They'll have to go in the separate ways anyways.
Incentivize. How can we incentivize a high-level player to hang out with a low-level player?
How do you prevent a high-level player from completely obliterating everything and reducing the experience to nothing, or, in the case of BDO, power level me all the way through without me having to do a thing? A lot of the times when I was playing BDO, I just put myself on auto-follow for the guy.
Now,
or do you scale in those special activities? Do you scale to the middle, lower, or upper person, depending on what you're doing?
How do you achieve that scaling, though? The world's open.
Because they mentioned a program, right? A mentorship program, a mentorship feature. So maybe the only way to be able to participate with your friend down there is to turn on the mentorship feature, group up, activate the mentorship feature. It scales you down to your buddy's level, and you can play together. Maybe it's a possibility. But what's to stop somebody from going, you know what? We're not going to party up, and we're not going to turn this on, and I'm just going to help you kill stuff.
I'm going to throw this out here as well. This one will be fun. Final Fantasy XIV allowed for players to run around the open world at your max level. when fates would spawn, which were their active events,
Mm-hmm.
you could not do those at your level. If you were in a low-level zone and the monster, it was designed for players between 22 and 23, you actually had to go on. The monster was invulnerable to you, and you actually had to hit a button that appeared on your screen to level sync, and your character would sync down so that you weren't overpowered. Do you think those are the type of abilities we're going to see? Something along the lines of Guild Wars 2 and their events? Like, I'm thinking we're going to see a Guild Wars 2 2.0, where they're going to have... They're going to have dynamic events. The dynamic events are going to not so much quests. They're just going to be out there happening in the world, but they're going to be tied to a certain progression level. And if you want to interact, you need to willingly, through this mentor program, sink down to it.
I don't think they're going to let people sink down. They're going to let people sink. They're going to go up.
Why would they
You're
sync
not going
up?
to want to take somebody and give them like 0 power, right?
No, they just said it. The quote
Yeah.
from Steven literally says he does not want people to be able to... we don't want to inflate or deflate characters and manipulate the type of skill or power.
They use the word deflate as well?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Now,
I don't
how
know
is that going to work?
Now, World of Warcraft actually had the system in place where the mob would scale to your level. How they did that, I have no
That's
clue.
crazy.
So yeah, so
servers.
actually, I hate how they actually do it in World of Warcraft because it's like the levels are almost meaningless at this point. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these games are moving towards that factor where you can go ahead and level sync at here, level sync there, level sync up, level sync down.
Everything is synced
and
to your
then-
level.
Exactly, and then it's like, what are you really doing with leveling? Like one of the best parts of like some of these old school games are when you level, you're freaking powerful compared to someone new. You're powerful compared to the rest of the people around, and it gives you a little added sense of oomph. And if this is a true big world where we're all going to be PvPing, that's an aspect that I would really like, rather than all of us just sinking left and right. Now, I'm curious to see what they have for these activities that we're going to go ahead and do with lower level characters, these specific activities, but an overall sync I would not be in favor of.
Yeah, no,
Look at
there's
ESO. They
Yeah.
scale now, right? They scale their mobs.
Yes,
They don't
yeah,
scale you, they scale their mobs.
right.
Wait, no, they
There's a
don't.
thought
They
there.
scale
That's
you.
lost his face.
No,
they scale your mobs.
no, they don't. All mobs are VR 16, or essentially champion point 160. Your character is scaled up to that level. Your stats are the stats of a champion point 160, somewhat inflated. In fact, in PvP, the most powerful you could get before they did some fixes was 49, right before you flipped over to 50. Because that was where you had the highest amount of the inflated stats. If you go into ESO right now, every single mob is CP 160. Your level 1 is doing damage equivalent to what a CP 160 character will do.
What's the point of playing an MMORPG to level up and make your character more powerful when you're just going to be boosted up to whatever level to fight whatever? Like what?
What's the
What
point
is
of
it?
leveling?
What's the what?
Why not make the entire game horizontal?
I don't know. That's so weird. I don't get
For
that.
exploration.
I loved Classic WoW, for example. We touched on this. You level up, you enter a new zone, you got that enjoyment of entering a new zone with even harder enemies, and if you ever went backwards, they were super easy. I loved that. I love entering new zone, new zone, new zone, new zone. Harder challenge, harder challenge, harder challenge, harder challenge. And if you go back 5 or 6 zones, you just crush stuff. That feeling is great. Don't take that from us by normalizing everything based off our level, which is exactly what Alpha Soul said earlier on.
And
Don't do that to us.
And Final Fantasy allowed you to do that.
Yeah.
Except for when it came to those events, because they wanted those events to feel good for the people who are there at that level.
They wanted that level range to participate, and they didn't want the max level guy to come over and 3-shot the thing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
I'm going to throw this out here as well, because this is probably something that, if anyone knows me, they know I'm not real in favor of leveling systems in general. I think they're stupid. It's the perpetual pushing a rock up a hill. Like, this is one of the best examples I've heard. Someone talked about leveling of a guy pushing a rock up the hill and then it falling back down and him doing again. How do you make it exciting for gamers? Add a level up notification at the top before you fall down the other side again.
Wait, let me ask you this real quick. If I think this is correct, it's not the leveling. Oh wait, it's leveling systems that you have a problem with, but it's not necessarily advancing your character. So
No,
something
not
like Ultima
advancing the
Online.
character.
Aggelos seems to love horizontal progression as opposed to vertical progression.
Guild Wars 1.
Okay.
Guild Wars 1. Yeah, they did have levels, but it was like level 20, and you could get that in like a day. Like, they didn't really care at that point. Some of it was just so you could lock some of the original story behind, you know. The real game in Guild Wars 1 was going out and capturing skills from enemy monsters. So your repertoire of skills became ever larger as you found different skills. And they had the subclassing system similar to this, where you started as one character. That's what the 1 to 20 gave you. Essentially, you got a new skill, and it was just a little bit of time so you could learn the skill before just giving you 50 skills, and you're sitting there going, what do I have here? You know? Guild Wars 1 allowed you at that point, I forget, how many skills were there? There were like 800 skills in the game that you could learn on a character. You couldn't have them all on your bar because it was a limited but you could learn them, and it was, the common nickname became Build Wars after that. It was actually one of the most popular PvP games in existence because of the Build War. But they didn't care so much about the vertical progression. It was whatever. Gear was whatever. You know, there were different qualities of gear, but the power gap was tiny between whatever. It was the skill, the way you built your character that mattered. Why do we need a leveling system at all?
Because there are people that do enjoy vertical progression. There's a lot of people that enjoy vertical progression. They enjoy their character becoming more and more and more powerful, whether through levels, whether through better gear, whether through additional skills or talents, etc. So you need to make a system that can appeal to both and give options of vertical progression, increasing your power, defeating the dungeon boss, getting a better sword, and allowing horizontal progression of whether it's cosmetics or titles, whether it's buffs to something that also gives you a nerf to something else, but still maintains the same level of power. You need options for both because there are people like you or I that prefer one or the other, or both.
No, I can see that, but with the leveling system, how does a mentor program even work at that point?
I think they're just trying to find a way to allow people who are veterans of the game to get their buddies to play and to play with their buddies, as opposed to just simply rolling a new character.
Right. But how do you do that with it inflating or deflating a character?
This is one of those situations, until it's in our hands, I don't know. Because they mentioned that, no inflate, no deflate. How do you do that?
I can understand the inflate. Like, I don't want people to boost up. Fine. Well, but we don't want you to boost down.
Yeah, so why can't my max level guy go down to his level and we hang out and do some quests? Why can't I do that?
But what if you've already done those quests? How do they maintain that?
I don't know. Again, this is a system I can't wait to see how it's going to be iterated upon and put into place. I'm super curious.
Yeah.
All right.
Like every system. I've said that about every system. Give us the systems, Intrepid. We want to know.
We've got a lot more to go over, guys, but I think this is going to be the end of our discussion this week. We only touched on the leveling. As I wrote down some notes, we have different class progressions, gear progression,
like half a page one.
Yeah,
crafting progression,
naval,
religion,
crafting,
naval, monster
We need a
coin.
project manager on this.
Yeah, I know.
Here we go. We do. Get somebody get in there.
Guild progressions.
Oh, yeah.
Freehold. There's so much for us to cover. We weren't going to get it done effectively within just one episode. But, yeah,
I'd be
guys.
surprised if 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this rate, yeah.
8-hour podcast. Let's go.
How many hours? No.
Indeed. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I want to thank my amazing co-host. We've got Storm's Lord from Digital Piper Studios, Alpha Soul. He does a lot of content creation on his YouTube channel. And of course, Crowjack, who streams and has an amazing YouTube channel. You can find the links to all of their stuff in the description of this show. Of course, you can find me as well down in those links. You can also follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you'll find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon program at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork if you want to help support the show. You can also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes they matter. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of From the Ashes. You guys are amazing, and we will see you next time. See you later, everybody.